Hey everybody, this is Doug Mark. Welcome back with Fried Franchising Questions. I have my amazing guest today. This is Karen Booze, Franchise Director for Answerconnect. She's also highly decorated and awarded. She's won the Toastmaster Award for Best Topic, Best Speakers in both 2016 and 2017. Karen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Doug. I'm so happy to be here. I'm just honored that you invited me.
Well, this is a fun little side project that we do, and you and I talked yesterday and kind of, prepped a little bit for this conversation. And it was nice because it was a lot like today will be. It was just kind of an easy conversation. We kind of call it the fireside chat. But I think what's really important for our audience, since the topics we talk about is franchising, could you tell our audience about Answerconnect and how you support franchising?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start, Answerconnect and I are really proud to pledge people, not bots. And what that means to me is Answerconnect pledges 24/7, 365-day a year live people to answer phones. And one of the things that we learned most recently is that people really need people, right? The last 2 years, we've all been kind of in timeout. And we have been answering phones for people since 1994. And for franchisors and franchisees, we answer phones, take messages, set appointments, push information into CRMs, and help them focus on things that are potentially more valuable or will bring in more revenue, and really keep people focused on the jobs that need to happen quicker. But also remember that phones are very important because they bring in business. And if you're anything like me, Doug, as soon as I hear a voicemail, I'm out.
Yeah. You had done this post on LinkedIn that was kind of along those lines, and it actually is kind of a perfect segue, I think, into my next question. And I'm going to ask for a little bit of forgiveness. I know that there's a statistic out there about people making purchases with the first person that they talk to. And there's another statistic on your website that talks about the businesses lose an average of $1.6 million based on missing out on 30% of inbound calls. And I feel like this is super important in service, right? Because if I'm calling a plumber, and I'm calling a plumber because I got a problem and I need it fixed right away. And if I call and do not speak to a person, chances are I'm going right down that list. Could you talk a little bit about sort of that importance of somebody being able to answer the phone every time it rings?
Yes, absolutely. So for me, for my own personal experience, and from a lot of other experience and listings, or I'm sorry, studies that we've seen, is that people actually go online, imagine that, and review, also research who they're going to go with. And in a lot of cases, they've read the good reviews, but they've also read the bad reviews. So if they take the time to pick up the phone, you better answer it, because if you don't, then the person calling is going to go to the next person because they already have the list in their mind created. And it's not like the days of old where we would go down the yellow pages alphabetically. This is, people can do their research. They don't have to talk to people anymore. So that first contact, that live voice is so important. And to your point, if I need a plumber, we needed one this summer or this last summer. We were in COVID. Guess what? A lot of people are getting new bathrooms and new kitchens, and they were very hard to come by. And ours was a little bit of an emergency situation. And I called for 5 hours. And I went with the first person that answered the phone. And it may or may not have been a great solution, but it solved the problem. But 5 hours, all I got was voicemails, or no voicemail set up, or full voicemail, or people just not even answering the call. And to me, that's outrageous because of the price that I paid. I know what they were losing. And there were a lot of hours spent. And I think exponentially this is happening because people are staying home.
Yeah.
There are things going on. So it is very important. A lot of people tell me, they'll leave messages, or they'll text me, or they email me, take out text. We're not here to help with that. We're really here to help with the live calls, because those can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, and you can't miss it. I mean, millions of dollars, as we've stated. So yeah, it's really very important.
I know that our customers really love our support team, but the reason
Mhm.
why they love them, one big reason is they can get a hold of them right away. And
Right.
I think that's massive because, when they're calling up, they're likely stuck to the point where they can't move forward. And so how frustrating is it to be stuck, can't move forward, and then I can't get a hold of someone? I mean, that's why I was replying to your LinkedIn post the other day, because it's infuriating. I had to call a business and it was impossible to talk to this business. And this was a mortgage company after I did my refi on my house. There was I was waiting on the actual disbursement check from the refi, and I could not talk to anyone. And I
Right.
spent at least an hour, on hold on a phone tree, and finally I gave up. And that experience is forever, ingrained in me now. So yeah, I am. Oh my goodness, yeah, talking to live people makes all the difference in the world. In your previous career, so you've done a lot of different things, but previously you did sales, you've done telesales, you've managed teams. And I feel like these are all things you're doing now. You're just doing it in franchising, and you're doing all of those things at once. What is it you love so much about franchising?
The relationship. I I'll go back to the beginning. I was managing the sales team at Answer and I was also selling because my passion is selling. I love it. And I got a hold of two gentlemen in particular, one at Strategic, Greg Platts, and then Hugh Jones. He was part of the Mosquito Squad group. And when I started talking to these guys, they gave me information like, franchising is unlimited potential. And they started taking time out of their day to share with me and really mentor me into the world. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to their events before going to IFA, and I loved it. I mean, the people who were at the events, the franchisees, were young, well, not necessarily just young, but small business owners. A lot of them were young, some of them were retired, some of them were, changing, you know, careers. And it was
Yeah.
amazing to talk to them. They were so involved and so engaged and very passionate about whatever franchise they had chosen. And what I realized is that they were a family. And I loved that. And when I got involved in the IFA, I was there the first time and people were very friendly. They answered all of my questions. They gave me a lot of advice. And one piece of advice they gave me was don't be a flash in the pan. Invest in relationships, which was the exact same thing that Greg Platts and Hugh Jones had said to me. Don't be a flash in the pan, like engage, build a relationship. And I'm sure, Doug, that you understand this. It's all about relationships. And it's taken, a couple of years to build those relationships. But like anything, it does take a couple of years.
It does.
Show up, invest your time and invest in the relationships. And, here we are. We've known about each other for a couple of years and we've seen each other at events and we've talked on the phones a couple of times. But it's really about building relationships. And not everybody's going to sign up, with our service, but we're going to have a relationship.
Right.
And, if they like the relationship and they like the person, then business will come eventually either through referral or they may need us at some point, but the relationship is built and it's solid. And that's really what I like about it. And I've fallen in love with that. So I focus on franchise 100% of my time now and I love it.
I also loved what you had to say just about people's enthusiasm for franchising at these events. I mean, anyone you talk to, if you go to IFA, you see franchisees and you see executives and everything in between. And no matter who you speak with, they're all in on franchising, as a method of doing business. And they're all really happy with it. All right, so I've got another fun statistic. This is one that you and I talked about the other day that it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, I am guilty of this. But what it is the quote talks about that every distraction takes 23 minutes to rebound from. Can you speak a little bit to that statistic and how Answer Connect can kind of help people stay focused?
I would love to. This actually came from Amara Pope. She did some research for us, and it's a really interesting statistic that I didn't even know about. But when I started thinking about it, it's so true. Think about it in your regular everyday, work activities. You're working on something and all of a sudden something else will pop up, whether because we're working at home, it's, the dog
Right.
or somebody coming to the door, or, a kid walking into the room, or us having to, go someplace. All of a sudden your attention is redirected. And how long does it take to get back there? Now, for me, it could be, hey, I need a cup of coffee, or it could be a phone call if I'm working on a project, or it could be a variety of things. And for small businesses, if somebody's working on a quote or getting ready to present the
Yeah.
quote or go out to provide a quote, if they get distracted by a phone call that they shouldn't be focusing on that at that moment, how long will that take?
Yeah.
Now the phone call itself could be, 3, maybe 5 minutes, but what happens then? Do they have to enter it into the CRM? Do they have to write the notes down? Do they have to make sure that it's in the appointment book? What is it that they're having to do? And now how much time have they been distracted? And
Right.
even worse, what if they're in front of a client that they're supposed to be working for? So for us, what we want to do is help them take one thing off the plate. And that's a distraction of a phone call, which we can handle by building a script with them, taking the calls, in a lot of cases, pushing it into their CRM and their calendar. And so that means everything is taken care of for them. They just have to show up. And I don't mean they just have to, but they
Right.
get to show up and they get to continue with their day, which may mean staying focused on that sales
Yeah.
call, on that quote, on that presentation, on those things. And it's actually a lot less expensive to go with a company like ours to do that than having to stop and
Yeah.
disengage with a live potential person and lose all engagement and then try to get it back together.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly could not agree more. Get an answering company. Absolutely. Get a service. Work with Answer Connect. I mean, this is going to free up your time and keep you focused. Our time is so precious right now. And we've realized that, I think, over the pandemic. And if our time is truly that precious, then we need to stay focused because we only want to spend a certain amount of time at work so we can have that free time so that we can decompress. So, yeah, gosh, I love hearing about that. Strangely enough, you know exactly like how many IFAs you've been to and things like this. Like you rattled off these things to me yesterday, and so that's just another neat thing about you is you have this incredible memory as well. But can you tell us real quickly, since I think you said 15 or 16, can you tell me about either a funny moment or funny thing that happened at an IFA that you've been to?
Mm. Oh, so the first IFA that I went to, I normally have blue hair. This is maybe the first time on video that I haven't had blue hair. And I know that when you met me, I did. The first time I went, I had blue hair. And I thought, wow, I am in a room full of C-level executives and
Right.
above. These are owners, these are founders, these are directors. Like, what did I do here? And got I sat down by a gentleman who I will refrain because I didn't ask him about this, but we had a great conversation. And at the end of the conversation, he said, I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to talk to you because I wasn't sure who they let in. And we are actually really good friends now. And I call him and I talk to him. And whenever I go to that magical city that he lives in, I always let him know that I'm there, and we'll go out and have dinner with his wife and things like that. But I initially thought maybe I wasn't going to fit. But the reality of it is that I do fit. And that's part of what I love about franchise is that people actually look for the person with blue hair now, right? And they look for the and they embrace that, and they embrace that difference. And I think that says a lot about the people that we get to work with is just the open embracing of differences in our group and in our really in our community.
Yeah.
And I loved that because I will remember that forever. And I, I'm kind of proud that that's what I'm known for, even though it's not showing up today. But I'm very proud that that's part of who I am, and that I'm
Yeah.
taken seriously as a professional. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
these are, think about it, franchising is huge, and these are some of the most powerful people in the world.
Absolutely. It's so accepting, right, of one's authentic self, and that is, and we've seen that change obviously because at IFA this year there was way more than one person with blue hair, right? So
Yes.
there was blue hair and pink hair and green hair and mohawks and jewelry and tattoos and right, and it's a very welcoming community. So wow,
Yes.
and I didn't know this was what you were going to tell, so that's awesome. That is great. If you could tell somebody who's going to Oregon for 3 nights, what is it they have to see in Oregon?
Ooh. Well, Portland is a beautiful city. Either direction, whether you go east or west or whether you go north or south, it's pretty spectacular. But anywhere in Oregon, we have so many different regions. You can be in the valley, you can be in the gorge, and all of a sudden 3 hours away, you can be in high desert. I think you said you were in the Bend or Redmond area, and
Yeah.
now you're in high desert.
And then you also have this beautiful coastline.
Yeah. So the Cascade Range, we're on a volcanic Cascade Range, which is really extraordinary in itself. Active volcanoes live on this range, and it
Right.
separates it. And when you go to the coast is part of the range, and the again, vistas, the view, the cliffs are spectacular, and some of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen
Yeah.
on the continental United States. Of course, there's, islands out there that are amazing, but I think it's just magical. You can windsurf, you can ski, you can go to the desert, you can whitewater raft, you can see theater. If you go all the way down to Ashland, some of the best theater this side of the Mississippi, the Shakespeare Theater, and of course the wineries, and then we have, pubs and food, and Oregon is a
Sasquatch.
magical place.
Can we mention Sasquatch? I always have to get a
And
plug
the
in for
Sasquatch,
and
yes, we do.
Sasquatch is from
Yep,
Oregon as well.
we do
So
have Bigfoot. Yep,
right.
absolutely.
Right.
And he kind of roams between Washington and Oregon and potentially Alaska. You never know.
Good point. He's not the hide and seek world champion for a reason, right?
Right.
Right. So I'm obviously a huge travel guy. I love, seeing the world and things like this, but this is like a hypothetical question, and it's 10 years into the future, and Karen Booze is head of the IFA. Where are we having the IFA conference that year? What city in the
Ooh,
United States?
Portland is beautiful. And there is
Portland
a
is
lot
beautiful.
of things to do around here. Dundee, Oregon, ironically, is a fun city, and it's beautiful just for the scenery and for the wineries. And because I know the people at the IFA, I think that might be kind of
Do
fun. It's
enjoy a drink or two. Yeah. We've
we,
been known to stay out late. Yep.
we've been known to. I think of course, I like New Orleans. I
Yeah.
love the magic of New Orleans. So I think that's a fun city, just because I love jazz. Like,
Yeah.
there's really no, greater place to listen to jazz. That's fun. Um, I don't know. Have we ever gone to Seattle?
I don't think we have in franchising. I've been there a couple of times for work and also really like Seattle. Very cool
Yeah.
place. They could
Seattle's
handle
kind
us.
of a
I think they
cool
could handle
place.
us.
Yeah, Seattle's a very cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are at the end of our interview. It was I know it was fast. It was not only 5 questions. I believe we snuck like 8 questions in there as well. So thank you so much for coming on 5 franchising questions. I really enjoyed our time together. I hope this is not the last time. I hope we get to do this again. But for our audience out there, how do they get in touch with you? Can you give us the link to your company, the email address, and then how to follow you on the social channels?
So absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, Karen Booz. It's very easy, Karen at answerconnect.com.
Answerconnect.com.
Or
Perfect.
they can give me a ring. And all of the information is answerconnect.com /franchise.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you all for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button and the follow button. We'll be posting these out on Fridays. We also have, our tips of the week that we give out as well. So make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're on all of the socials these days. So thank you all so much for following. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Karen, for being our guest. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Doug. I had a great time. Have a great
Cheers.
day.